What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Stocks with Mike and Tom show. Draftkings stock is exploding today. It's up 6.5%. In today's video, we're going to explain why the stock's exploding and just other important news to know right now, and of course, some pretty solid plays. So if you guys are new here, don't forget to subscribe. We post brand new videos every single day, and at the end of today's video, we have a $6.1 million trade for this Friday. But Tom, fill us in. Draftkings stock is exploding. What's going on?
Yeah, they had a pretty big move up early on this morning, right at market open. And right before the market opened, a report actually came out and it labeled that ARX Invest Cathie Wood scoops up more than $60 million in Draftkings shares. Oh, she actually bought over 1 million shares with this pickup here, but she ended up sending Draftkings, Penn Gaming, and just all these casino/hotel stocks to the upside. We can see even MGM ended up doing pretty well today off this. Penn had a really nice day, up 8.6%, even beating out Draftkings somehow. But Draftkings really had a great move today at open, broke above that 55 resistance yesterday and just held that today, continued its nice momentum. And honestly, Draftkings is just looking really solid. We've been talking about it a lot, Mike, while it's been down here around these supports, and there was definitely a lot of opportunities to pick it up. Now up here, I'm not sure I'd be grabbing it up around the 60 resistance or the 65 resistance, but it definitely still has potential for the next few days, especially with Cathie Wood buying. I mean, man, it seems like she's been buying up a lot of stocks on their dips down here, and hopefully they end up flying up for us.
You know it. So I'm a huge fan of Draftkings for the long term. I think they have so much growth potential, and it's awesome to see them have a day like they had, and then also to see someone like Cathie buying into this company. So I love to see it. In terms of short-term movement, we can see in the past, sometimes this thing will run up for 2 to 3 weeks. So, I can definitely see it happening, but I'm looking at it more on the long-term sense. I really like it for shares. It's not bad for leaps either. So, Tom, for all of our short-term viewers out there, what are some of the main levels you're watching?
$60 was a really big resistance level to look for today on Draftkings. Now, it did kind of end up holding that, or I should say breaking above that at the end of the day and moving up to 60.37, which was a pretty good move. So maybe tomorrow we'll see a pretty good break out of this level. But honestly, the next resistance I see is all the way up around $65 on the max daily. Now there is a little bit of resistance sprinkled in here right around 62 to 62.50, but I would say we're pretty clear up to 65. And honestly, with the type of moves Draftkings is having, it had about a $3.60 move today on the stock. So if we have that same type of move tomorrow, we'll be up to around, $63, $64. So maybe don't look for it to go that high because that news with Cathie came out today, but I would definitely target somewhere around 62 tomorrow.
Good stuff. And then I saw that MU and WDC exploded today. What's going on there?
Yeah, WDC actually had the better of the movement, ending the day at 7.8% and actually holding up pretty high here. But Western Digital and Micron both soared following a $20 billion merger report. And the data and storage information technology, which is Western Digital, they make a lot of stuff like SSDs and, hard drives and stuff like that. They're reportedly in talks to merge with Japanese memory maker Kioxia Holdings. And it's a pretty interesting deal here, worth $20 billion plus. And that's pretty big, $20 billion. That's definitely no small acquisition by any means, but it seems pretty good. And the good news is that it actually sent Western Digital up, but somehow MU ended up going up too. And it was reported that a few weeks ago, some newspapers had reported that MU had reportedly been in talks to acquire Kioxia as well. So that's kind of why they're flying up. But honestly, I don't really see MU holding up too well from this. And I think that's kind of why they tanked off and they only closed up around 2%, was because WDC obviously are the ones merging with them.
Good stuff. And then I know that we talked about some of these earnings plays like SPLK, CRM, and SNOW throughout the week, and it looks like they just reported, a lot of them just did right now in after hours. Specifically, I'm looking at SPLK. I saw a lot of calls being bought up on this one, over the past couple weeks or so, and it looks like, they're doing pretty well right now. And, I'm not seeing any crazy numbers out of them in their earnings report, but like I said, one they just reported, and just on a technical / price level, they are looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, and I actually pointed this out on the stream this morning, Mike. And once you kind of called this out a couple days ago, I really started looking into it, and I found a pretty good inverse head and shoulders setup going on SPLK. We can see the blue line, the blue trend line that I have here is kind of like the bottom support where those shoulders are. There's also a good support at 140, and we've been really bouncing up over the past few days. Like you said, the earnings weren't the best by any means, but they did beat that estimate by quite a bit, which is pretty good to see. And the good news is, though, is that they're kind of continuing up with this head and shoulders trend here. And I would think, like, let's see like where they are here in after hours, around $163 at the high. And I would say, looking at this, 163 is definitely a good level for them. Maybe they'll be able to get up to around like 165. But honestly, this setup was looking so good, and it was just such a good inverse head and shoulders setup. Like, generally, like, this is just the type of setup you always want to see whenever you're going long stocks. And the great thing was that you weren't getting in early over here either. It was a nice play getting in here at the end right before the run up.
For sure, and like you said, they did beat those estimates pretty well. Their estimated EPS was minus $1.60 per share, and they only came in at like minus like 62 cents per share. So not bad at all. And you could just see like over the past year or so, like every single time they report earnings, they just get demolished. But it looks like we're slowly changing that pattern, which is awesome to see. But Tom, it is now time for our momentum plays. And with the first one, we have AAL to the upside, and it's been trending pretty well, like especially over the past week.
Yeah, and American Airlines actually has a pretty solid, like double to triple top up here at the end of the day today. Make them break out above 2025, and I think it'll end up being pretty good. And it's actually moving pretty well off this 100 SMA and these technicals too.
Good stuff. And with the next one, we have DraftKings.
Yeah, of course, we cannot forget DraftKings. Make them break out above $60. I'll just say $60.50. That'll be a pretty good move.
All right, and then with the last one, we have Peloton, and then also, to the upside.
Yep, of course, and make them break out above 116.75.
Good stuff. So we are watching these three plays for potential day trades to the upside tomorrow, only if they break above the levels Tom listed. They all have a lot of good momentum, a lot of, just buyers flowing into them. So definitely keep them on your radar. But it is now time to shout out our member of the day, which is Alex Trader. Huge shout out, Alex. Just thank you so much for being a great asset to the Discord. You're always saying positive things and you have great questions. So huge shout out, Alex Trader. Thank you so much for just being a great member of the community. But Tom, it is now time for the $6.1 million trade for this Friday. We are looking at the Moderna 420 strike calls, and like I said, there were 6.1 million put into them. I'm definitely going to say the smart money is shorting these calls, given that they're like $23 out of the money and that they expire in 2 days.
Yeah, definitely. And $420 was a pretty good resistance for them too, that they actually hit off of just a couple days ago, ended up going down. So I'm with you. I would say they're shorting it as well. They could end up flying up and going through there, and maybe they know something that we don't, but I would lean towards they're shorting them also.
Good stuff. So with the first comment from the previous episode, we have Corbin saying, could you give me some insight on Boeing and EXAS? Please and thank you. So let's take a look. Boeing it's not really moving, it just doesn't really have any momentum right now, like in the short term. So like there's not too many plays for this one. I still think it looks good for like a call debit spread or something like that. I really like it for the long term. I think they're a solid company, solid stock. It's at a solid price point, but it just doesn't have that momentum. It's kind of like how PENN was like a couple weeks ago. Solid company, solid stock, solid price, but it didn't actually start moving until this week. So I think we will start to see that like explosive movement, but we just need like some sort of catalyst to kickstart it.
Yeah, definitely. And there is a nice support at like $220, which Boeing actually hit off of today and hit off of a few times the past couple of weeks. And we're actually hitting off of it right here at the end of the day. So it looks pretty solid. If we can hold 220, maybe that'll be a good sign that calls will end up being a pretty good thing for the next few days to come. But if we don't hold 220, then definitely look at it more to the downside. And I'm going to really eye this one up because I've been looking at a position on Boeing for a while now, especially with that max daily. We're kind of bouncing off that trend line for the third time. And it honestly is right at that 220 support too. So it seems like a pretty good, like double bottom right there.
All right, and then what are you thinking of EXAS? It looks like a decent dip buy.
Yeah, it does actually. There's a lot of momentum coming back up, and I'm actually pretty surprised to see this one holding this 90 support as well as it did. And honestly, looks pretty solid. I would say it looks like we could go up maybe up to that like 105 resistance since we broke $100 today.
All right, and then we have Vela saying, thank you for your efforts. Hope you can also look at OGN. So let's take a look. OGN, it's not looking bad. You know, it's just been like consolidating a lot over like the past couple weeks. Honestly, it's like I'm not like a huge fan of it. There's not too much chart data. I don't know, like maybe if it retested like 29 or 28, I would consider it, but it's just like I'm just neutral on it.
Yeah, me too. It's just a hard stock to talk about. It does look like it has like lower highs here, but like Mike said, there's not too much data. So I would definitely give it like a maybe a couple months, maybe to see like what ends up going on. But the good news is that they did have decent earnings last time.
All right, and then we have Dawn saying ASTR had 10% green days in a row. So, Tom, I know that it pulled back a little bit today, and I know you were like doing some research into it. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I honestly think it might be pretty good. You know, they have that launch coming up this Friday, and there was actually a pretty good interview between like MSNBC and the CEO of Astra. If you guys want to go ahead and look that up, but it's pretty interesting. He kind of talks about like the launch window and everything. So keep in mind, like if it does like rain or something, of course, that's going to probably damper the launch and it might not go too well. And today it actually pulled back. That momentum failed to kind of break us out there up above $12, and we ended up coming back down, unfortunately. So it wasn't the best day. And honestly, it's still below the 100 SMA, and it doesn't look too good heading into tomorrow. But keep in mind that these launches have generally done pretty well for companies like this and SPCE. But something interesting about this company is that they're actually working with the Space Force, taking up a satellite on this launch. So that's a pretty interesting piece of news. And they even had good news about thrusters kind of working well in space the other day. They kind of sent them up for those 10% green days. Ended up being pretty good news for them. So overall, they've had a lot of good stuff coming out, and they could have a lot of hype coming up at the end of the week, Mike. It's definitely one to keep on the radar.
All right, and then we have G Alien saying, "Hey, Mike and Tom, what are your thoughts on SCR?" And let's take a look at it. So, it had a pretty good day today. Tom, they're also involved with like esports and like sports betting and like sports media and stuff like that. So, you know, I really like the sector. I think it has a lot of growth potential. But like, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. You know, I know that it's kind of like an ESPN. They have like apps and stuff like that where they track sports and stuff. And man, if they're getting into the sports betting industry, man, I could see them exploding, kind of like what they're doing here. I wonder what made them explode so much. I'll definitely have to read into what made them pop so much back here. I don't know if there was like a big acquisition or if they like launched sports betting or what, but this honestly looks really solid, Mike. And there's lots of growth, especially right now in the short term. Like, as far as the stock to day trade, I mean, you almost can't go wrong with this one. It's been going up almost every single day. Now, be a little careful because we're getting up so high, but as far as day trades, I think it looks pretty solid.
All right, so if you guys trade options, definitely check out that first link in the description down below. You can trade with Tom, myself, and our bots every single day. Daily options, swing trades, day trades, custom bots, order flow bots, you name it, we probably have it. And you can chat with Tom and myself all day long. In the worst case scenario, you can cancel at any time. But we highly recommend checking it out. We have a lot of great plays in the works, and you know we just have a lot of great things in the program, and we're always adding to it. So definitely check it out. It's that first link in the description down below. But Tom, do you have any last minute stocks, options, or anything you're watching for tomorrow?
Yeah, I actually have a pretty interesting piece of information about this company SCR here. Mike, Penn Gaming actually acquired them. That's what made them explode so much. And honestly, this might be a pretty good play heading into that acquisition. Who knows? You know, sometimes they acquire it for a certain amount per share, but honestly, it looks like a pretty good setup here. Definitely have my eyes on SCR. Seems pretty good for tomorrow. Draftkings as well. You know, that whole sector, the whole sports betting sector is doing well, even PENN. So I'll have my eyes on all of them. But something that we didn't really talk about too much today is kind of these bank stocks. You know, the bank stocks honestly did pretty well, and they might end up running up again tomorrow. We have JP Morgan and Bank of America starting to really run up. So watch out for the banks. And it's just really good to see these casino stocks like DraftKings and stuff going up too.
Good stuff. And then one stock I wanted to point out was Workhorse, WKHS. This play is risky, but I feel like it has a lot of potential, Tom. Like, it's just kind of lingering around its lows, right around like $10 or so. And, I know it's risky, but I feel like it has a decent amount of like growth potential, maybe for like a couple months swing trade or maybe even a couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm with you. It actually has a pretty good high like risk reward ratio too. Like you said, you might lose on it, but the potential reward is going to be really good with this one. And Workhorse has had a lot of hype behind it, so it could honestly draw a lot of investors in if they come out with some good news. And all that we need out of some of these companies like Workhorse, Lucid, and some of these EV stocks, I think, is just one good piece of news from those individual companies, and they might get the ball rolling, and those stocks might start flying.
Good stuff. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you are new here or if you like our content, don't forget to subscribe. We post brand new videos every single day. And then also come join Tom and I live every single day at Market Open on the Stocked Up Live YouTube channel. The link for that is in the description down below. And if you guys want us to cover any specific stocks or if you have any questions, let us know in the comments down below. But other than that, thanks for watching.